felt like you're just spinning your wheels with your finances? You're saving, you're working hard, but the needle just isn't moving that much. Well, today we're going to dive into why that is, and more importantly, why that feeling doesn't last forever. There's a tipping point, and it's one of the most powerful principles in building wealth. This right here is some of the best advice you'll ever get, and it comes straight from a millionaire. It's the whole idea we're going to unpack today. See, it's not about dreaming of millions right out of the gate. It's about conquering that first critical milestone, that first 100K. So that's the big question, isn't it? If you've ever felt like you're stuck in the financial slow lane, you know exactly what this feels like. Why does it take what feels like an eternity to get any real momentum going? Okay, let's get into it. It really boils down to two big challenges that pretty much everyone faces at the beginning. You can think of them like the two main bosses you have to beat in a video game before you can level up your financial life. So first off, there's your earning power. When you're just starting your career, you're kind of like a level 1 character, right? You just haven't had the time to build up the skills and experience to command a really high salary. And second, and this is a big one, you've got a lack of what I'd call meaningful compound interest. That famous wealth snowball. Right now, it's more of a snowball-let. It's rolling, but it's just not big enough yet to pick up much extra snow on its own. Let's make this super real for a second. Let's say you invest 10 grand. After 5 whole years of waiting patiently, you might only have made about $4,000 in interest. And that can feel, well, pretty underwhelming, can it? So here's the key takeaway. In the beginning, your growth depends almost entirely on how much money you can save and invest, not on what your money earns for you. But here's where it gets really, really exciting. Once you grind it out, once you get that snowball to that critical $100,000 mass, something incredible happens. The entire physics of your wealth building just flips. Okay, just look at the acceleration on this slide. It's amazing. To get that first 100K, it takes almost 8 years. But the next one, it only takes about 5. The one after that, under 4 years. And look, before you know it, you're pulling in 100 grand in just 2.5 years. The time just keeps getting shorter and shorter. This is your money finally starting to work for you in a big way. Let's put a fine point on that. It takes you 35% less time to make your second 100,000 than it took to struggle for your first. 35%. That is not a small adjustment. That is a game-changing shift in your financial reality. That right there is the tipping point in action. And get this. This is my favorite part. Even if you hit that first 100K, invested it, and then did absolutely nothing, you never added another penny, you'd still likely become a millionaire in about 33 years. That's how solid the foundation is. Once you build it, wealth starts to feel almost inevitable. Okay, so we've covered the why. We get it. Now let's talk about the how. How do you actually get to that magic number faster? Well, for that, we're going to use a really simple but powerful blueprint called the GROWTH method. Each letter here stands for a crucial step in the process. We've got gain control, root your investments, optimize your tax management, weed out debts, tap into additional income, and finally, heighten self-discipline. So let's break down what each of these really means, starting with G. First up, G is for gain control. And yeah, this starts with a budget, but please, don't think of a budget like a financial prison. It's not a rule book. It's more like a GPS. It's a guide that empowers you to make conscious, smart choices because you actually know where your money is going. And where do you want that money to go? You want it to grow roots. So that brings us to R, root your investments. Consistency is the name of the game here. Just look at this. If you invest just $250 a month for 40 years, it could grow to over $650,000. And here's the wild part. More than $500,000 of that is just pure interest. That's the magic we're trying to unlock. All right, to get even more fuel for that fire, you've got to keep as much of your own money as you possibly can. And that brings us to O, optimize tax management. And listen, this isn't about doing anything sketchy. It's just about being smart. Every single dollar you legally save on taxes is another dollar you can put to work for you. And we have to be crystal clear on this point. Tax avoidance is totally legal. It's just using the existing rules to your advantage, like writing off legitimate business expenses. Tax evasion, on the other hand, is illegal. That's lying and breaking the rules. We are only ever talking about smart, legal avoidance. Now, just as important as growing your money is stopping other things from taking it away, which brings us to weed out debts. Think of it like this. If compound interest is your wealth-building snowball, then high-interest debt is like a giant flamethrower, melting it as fast as you can roll it. You have to get rid of it.
And this is a massive problem for so many people. The average American is carrying more than $21,000 in personal debt. Wiping that out is one of the absolute fastest ways to free up cash you can use to invest instead.
So, you've plugged the leaks by getting rid of debt. Now, how do we turn up the faucet? Well, that's T. Tap into additional income. Remember how we said your own contributions are the biggest deal at the start? A side hustle is the ultimate cheat code for that. And it's not some weird thing anymore. Half of all Americans have one. It's just a normal way to get more snow to pack onto your snowball. But let's be real for a second. Budgeting, investing, paying off debt, working a side hustle, none of this just happens. It all comes down to the final and, honestly, the most important ingredient. And that is H, heightened self-discipline. This is the engine. It's the glue that holds all these other steps together and powers you through the hard part of the journey. So, the path is actually pretty clear. The beginning is a grind, no doubt about it. It's all about your own hustle and your own savings rate. But once you break through that $100,000 barrier, the rules of the game change in your favor, and your wealth starts to build on itself, faster and faster. And really, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. Discipline is the currency of success. Every time you decide to save instead of spend, or work on that side project instead of binging another show, you are literally minting the currency of your own success. So the only question left is, how much are you willing to mint?